Hello! So, there's been quite an update to Microsoft Flight Simulator today. First of all, they have released the latest world update, which brings the Eastern European countries into the simulator. But there's also been this new aircraft has arrived in the marketplace. It's the Aero Vodochody 145 and 45 models. So if you purchase the aircraft, it's very reasonably priced. It's on offer at the moment, I believe. You get two models. The 45 model is the earlier model from the late 40s, early 50s, which is what we're looking at here. And the 145 is the later model, which has got a lot of electrical advancements in the cockpit. Obviously, it's still only mid-60s, so don't expect wonders. All it means is we have buttons instead of throw switches in various places. So let's go and jump inside. Oh, the later model does have GPS. That's worth pointing out. I don't think it has autopilot though. But the earlier model doesn't even have GPS, so you're flying by your wits basically. So let's go and have a look around the airplane. So it's as well designed and built as you would imagine these days in Flight Simulator. It looks really, really wonderful. It's worth pointing out it is not study level. So, you know, it's the learning curve with it is only made steep by the fact of the labelling in the cockpit, which you will see in a moment. So if we go and jump inside the cockpit, the first thing you're going to notice is all of the labelling is in Czechoslovakian. Well, I guess it's most of it. It's a mixture actually. I've been checking the labels for translations and for pronunciation. There's a mixture of Russian and Czech signage around the cockpit. So it's very much of its era, I guess. So let's just pop the yokes off to get the airplane started. You can see that the modelling inside is really, really good. So if we just sit up to look over the back here, you can see, you know, even if you lean forwards, it's very well done. It's not the highest polygon count, but there's a lot of compound curves here to deal with. So I imagine they've chosen wisely where to use the polygons. Okay, so I'm going to turn off head tracking just to go around the cockpit setting things up, because I think it would be quite annoying to have me flailing around trying to hit switches. So first things first, we're going to come over to the side of the cockpit to the switches down here. And we have this bank of switches. Now this one over here is pronounced, now let me try and get this right, Pristridge, which is a security system, apparently. I'm not quite sure how it relates to everything else. So then next to it we have got, there's the flaps and there's the ignition, which is already in, bizarrely. We've got the battery switch, which we will turn on. Then we've got the central pedestal. It's got the fuel levers down here. So you can see the signage here. Zavreno means closed. Pomokne means no, let me get this right. It made me laugh. It will help. So essentially that's auxiliary. Yeah, it's a help fuel supply. And hlavni is main. So vlevo and prava are left and right. So we're on main fuel, which is good. We're going to turn the fuel pumps on. And then in the cockpit we've got the magnetos over here, so we can go and turn the magnetos on. Then we've got the primers for each side of the aircraft, so we'll give those a few pumps each. Normally you would only do one engine at a time, but like I said, this isn't study level, we can get away with it. We'll go and put the mixtures on rich, and we'll open the window so we can hear the engine when we start it, and we'll hit the starter button, or just crack the throttles open actually and hit the starter. Make sure the wheel brakes are on, they are. And the right engine. Like I said, it's not study level, it's dumbed down quite significantly. So my one kind of downer about it is they've got these crazy animations on the nose bosses. I wish the developers wouldn't do that. So let's go and close the cabin back down. So back down here, we're going to go and turn on the generators now, left and right, so you get the ammeter here, kind of works. You've then got the power for the flap circuit over here. You've got the radios we can go and turn on. We've got the internal lights and the position lights are here. I'm trying to remember which one's which out of these. That's the pitot heat. So then I think we're more or less ready to go. Oh, we've got the power for the artificial horizon over here as well. So you can see that's just come to life as well. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. If you look around the instruments, we've got airspeed indicator in kilometers an hour. You've got the weirdest altimeter you've ever seen. So if we press B to calibrate it, yeah, it was already calibrated. We've got vertical speed indicator, and I'm not sure what this one is. We'll find out very, very shortly. Oh, it's probably the RPM, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so we're more or less ready to go. So we're just going to take a quick flight around Prague. We're actually at, if we go and have a quick look, we're at Vodochody airfield. So this is the Aero Vodochody aircraft, and we are at their airfield just north of Prague. So we're going to go for a little fly around Prague. We'll fly down the river into the centre of Prague and have a nose around, because Prague has been blessed with very, very good photogrammetry now. So we're just going to taxi out. So head tracking is now on, wheel brakes are off. We're going to try and fit through this maze of buildings to get to the airfield, and no doubt we're going to have a van drive right in front of us. So of course we have, because he couldn't wait, could he? And we'll try and get in the middle of here so we don't clip any buildings with our wings. Yeah, we've got plenty of room. We'll just sit up. It's one of the huge advantages of the Tobii head tracker, is you can just sit up if you need to. You just sit up in your chair. It does the same thing. You can obviously recenter if you want to make it easier to look around. Okay, so we're just taxiing out to the runway. It doesn't taxi wonderfully accurately. There is a tail wheel lock down the left side of the cockpit, down here. That red lever, you pull it back and it locks the tail wheel, but you don't actually need it, because it's not that realistic. The plane tends to track in a straight line. You know, there's a little bit of torque on acceleration, but hardly anything worth talking about. Okay, so I'm not going to use any flaps for takeoff. Just getting comfortable in my seat. Excuse me for fidgeting around. Okay, so full throttle. So tail is up. As you can see, there was no lurch across the runway. It tracks very much in a straight line. So give it some back pressure on the stick and we are in the air. So let's have a look from outside. So gear up. And we're away. It's a very pretty aeroplane. So as I said, we are just on the outskirts of Prague, so we're heading west at the moment, so we're going to double back. We want to be going southeast really to get to Prague. So just turning towards south. You can see there's all manner of towers that are modelled in the scenery now. Which is a novelty to me because I've not seen them in the default simulator before, so they've obviously been added. So this is the river, obviously, so if we go and have a look at the map, yeah, if we follow the river in, so give us something to do, won't it? Maybe come off the throttle and descend down. How are we doing for volume levels? I should have checked that really. It's quite quiet, isn't it, from the outside, so let's turn that up a bit so you can hear the engine a bit better. So yeah, I think the problem is now with Flight Simulator, now we've all seen the A2A Comanche, it's kind of recalibrated what is good. And yes, this looks good, but it doesn't sound as good as the Comanche, and it doesn't fly as well as the Comanche. It's very much dumbed down. But then, you know, it's a very low-cost aeroplane. As far as aeroplanes go in the simulator, it's like a fifth the price, I think, of the Comanche. So you can't really complain. And obviously not everybody wants a study level aeroplane. Some people want to just jump in an aeroplane and go for a fly. And this absolutely satisfies that, and it's obviously got a bit of historical interest in it because it's quite a unique little aeroplane. So let's go and straighten up and go for the middle of Prague. So it would appear that the whole area has been blessed with photogrammetry. So when we look out the side, you can see it's very, very good. Almost putting my head through the side of the cockpit there. Yeah, it's very nicely done. Let's go full throttle. So it's cruising along about 220 kilometers an hour. If we go full throttle, I wonder how fast it can go. So it's doing about 2500 RPM. If that is RPM. I need to check that against the book. Some interesting scenery around, isn't there? Football stadium. Huge complex of apartment buildings. Bridges over the river. I don't know Prague at all, so I'll have to rely on others to tell me what various landmarks are. But it's interesting, isn't it? So this looks like the old railway station down there by the look of it. Very cool. It's a communications tower we're just approaching, and there's a big church down here. It's very, very nicely done. Another big church over here with 2 spires. In the middle of like a, I guess we would call that a circus. Can you see all the roads are congregating on that point in the city, so that's probably one of the oldest parts, I guess. And there seems to be custom 3D assets down there for it as well. It's very nicely done. The palace. And lots of custom 3D bridges as well by the look of it. So if we... This is one of the my favourite things about the Tobii Head Tracker, is you can just look up out across the top of the cockpit, you know, without really thinking about it. The scenery is very nicely done, isn't it? Should we have a look from outside? Okay, should we head back towards where we took off from? So, we've been looping around the middle of Prague. Actually, no, there's a small airfield over here. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but we're going to go and head for it. So we carry on the direction we're going. We should see it before too long. So we'll just straighten up. There's another fascinating building coming up below us. An oval shape. Should we just divert slightly so we can see it? I wonder what it is. Is it just a turntable for the railway? Maybe. Yeah, it's a shed, isn't it, for the railway? With a turntable. Football stadium below us. With an awful lot of solar panels. And we're losing track of where we are again, so I'm just going to gain a little bit of height as we turn back towards the direction we were supposed to be going. And we'll hopefully, yeah, we can see there's an airfield over here. So we're going to circle the airfield and land. leaning all over the cockpit to see where we're going. So what's the wind doing? Let's just double check. So we need to go to the far end. So we'll go and do a left circuit in, shall we? Having never flown this before, this is a bit of a voyage of discovery. So let's see if we come back on the throttles, how quickly does it lose speed? The answer to that is it doesn't. The airspeed needle is slowly retreating. Apologies for that, I just rubbed my eye and completely forgot the head tracker would notice that. So how are we doing in this efforts to lose speed? We're not. So I'm going to pull the throttle back significantly. It does have pitch control over here for the propellers, but we're going to leave them on course pitch. Should we have a look at the undercarriage animation? And flaps. That'll be that nav radio gear that has suddenly come alive, and it's giving us the beacon. So it's very, very stable, but as I said earlier, it's not the most realistic aircraft ever. So it's you would expect it to be stable. I didn't put the yokes back on, did I? So you can't see what I'm doing with the controls. I'm holding back quite a significant amount. There we go. The tail wheel's just falling back to the floor, and I think it's on the floor now. Ah, that's quite amusing. So there's obviously a control somewhere for the, that's a bit of a mistake, isn't it, in the aircraft, that they've done that. So should we try and find the switch for that? So where have they controlled that? That's a shame that they've done that. So I'm presuming... See, that's fascinating. Control E doesn't get rid of it. Why would they have done that? Okay, I'm going to pause recording for a moment while I find out what they've done. Okay, that clears that one up. You remember I said when we were on the ground there was a secure aircraft switch over here. The how do we pronounce it again? Priesterich. So that secure aircraft, being a switch, a jumper, whatever you want to call it, also controls the appearance of the tie downs and the chocks. But did you notice on the landing they had absolutely no bearing on the movement of the aeroplane, which was quite strange. Anyway, shall we try and taxi in at least? So we've missed the taxiway now as well, so we're going to spin it round. Thankfully it's very, very manoeuvrable. Look, it turns on a sixpence. So yeah, that was fascinating. So we're going to cut across the grass, which also lets us find out there's not much in the way of the sound of the grass, which again is a bit of a shame. And the frame rate is absolutely cratering for some reason. What is being rendered in view that's killing it? It's suddenly gone to about 10 frames a second. Something is murdering it. I have no idea what is going on here, but something has appeared in view that is absolutely destroying the frame rate. Now, I don't know if that's a bug with the simulator or the aeroplane, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. But it doesn't bode well, does it? Maybe something is loaded in the background that's absolutely killing it. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. So today, oh my word, look at the frame rate. I can't even control the camera. I think the simulator's gone wrong, basically. So I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you enjoyed that. So this was the... It's quite funny, isn't it? This was the Aero Vodochody. So this is the 4.5, not the 1.45. So, just out of interest, let's try this. So if I press restart the flight and continue, let's see if it corrects itself. Let's see if it was a problem with something in the scenery near us. Or if it was just us. Sorry for diverting from the first look at this aeroplane, but I'm interested now. No, it's fixed itself, look. We're fine again now. How odd is that? Obviously it's gone back to real time. It's the middle of the night in Prague. Okay, so something went awry there in the simulator, but hopefully it's not the aeroplane that's causing it, but we'll see. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.